Hi folks, Chris Mask from Eastlink Community TV's off the Chip Wagon. Hopefully you and your family are doing well in these unique times, but maybe a little bored, looking for something to do in the kitchen. Let's talk about ice cream. Ice cream, you scream, we all scream for ice cream, but the history of ice cream, a little on the clouded side. Now, China claims to have invented it back in 200 BC, but according to some of their records and documents, it may have been stolen from the Mongolians. Marco Polo, well, he's credited with introducing it to the Italians, but really there's no documentation to back that up. When it comes to Italian ice cream making, we do have one from 1559 where an architect by the name of Bernardo Buntinellenti, he made it for Charles V of Spain. In fact, Buntinello ice cream, as it's known, or Florentine ice cream, that recipe still being used today. The Italians, they introduced sorberto to the French. Here in North America, it wasn't until 1744 that it touched down on our soils thanks to a colonist. Now, there is a difference between ice cream, gelato, sorberto, so we're not going to split hairs with that. We're going to deal with just ice cream. And when I talk about ice cream, you still have to make a decision. Do I want the French style, which is going to be more custard based, so we have to put eggs into the French style ice cream? Or do we want the Philadelphia style, as it's known, which is perfect if you're trying to create a vegan or a vegetarian option? You see, you need a base for your ice cream, right? And that's going to be some kind of fluid with a high fat content. So like the name implies, could be milk from a cow, a buffalo, a sheep, or a goat, but there's plant-based options. Could be coconut milk, could be soy, cashew, almond milk, tofu even. Could even be bananas. The thing is that you're going to have your purists out there who say, well, if there's no cream in it, it's not technically ice cream. Well, you know what? Call it a frozen dairy product then, if that's what's going to grow your rutabaga. In fact, much like sparkling wine, if it doesn't come from the Champagne region of France, you can't call it champagne. If the product doesn't meet the standards of what an ice cream is supposed to be, then it will be labeled on store shelves as a frozen dairy product. The recipe, it's evolved throughout the years. The Romans and the Greeks like to think that they invented ice cream, but they were just pulling snow down from a mountaintop, so really they were making snow cones. In England, back in 1668, their recipe called for cream with mace in it. Yeah, that sounds like ice cream, right? Where does it go from here? We add some orange flower. Interesting aromatic. But then it kind of derails here because ambergris is the next ingredient. That's an additive they put into perfumes and candle making, and if you're not sure exactly what ambergris is, it's sperm whale vomit. Sometimes the whales get an upset tummy, an intestinal blockage, and blah, ambergris is created. Look it up if you don't believe me. The beauty part about making ice cream at home is that you control what goes into it, from the fat content, what kind of sweetener you put into it, even, the different flavors out there. But we do need something else on our side, and that's science. And even in India, it was documented back in 4 BC that the key to making good ice cream is an endothermic reaction. So we're going to get all sciencey here. And the endothermic reaction that we need for ice cream making is basically we need ice cubes to absorb heat from the ice cream fluid. And that will be accomplished by adding this to ice cubes, which is salt. So this could be rock salt, kosher salt, iodized salt, whatever you have. But by adding salt to ice cubes, we're actually going to lower the freezing point of any fluid that comes in contact to it. So we're actually dropping that freezing point from 0 to -6, or from 32 Fahrenheit to 20 Fahrenheit. And the reason why we need to drop that freezing point there is because once we introduce agitation, if you remember the video we did on making butter, we're going to add a little bit of muscle power into this, and we're going to create these little pockets of supercooled air. And those pockets of supercooled air are actually going to prevent our ice cream from freezing solid like an ice cube because we've dropped that freezing point. And as a result, we're going to get this creamy, fluffy ice cream from it. The endothermic reaction is happening outside the bag, but its effects on the product, that's what is going to distinguish good ice cream from a really crappy ice cream. So at home, this is a couple recipes. In fact, this is a lot of fun if you have kids. We can do what's called the bag-in-bag method. And the bag-in-bag method, basically, we're using 2 bags, a large freezer bag and a medium-sized one. Now this one here, this is where we're going to put our ice and salt mix. This one, this is where our ice cream mixture comes in. So the Philadelphia method is the first one I'm going to show you. In fact, I'm using coconut milk as my high fat content moisture for this, my liquid for this. We are going to use about a cup of coconut milk 3 tablespoons of whatever type of sugar or sweetener you want. So it could be an artificial sweetener, it could be maple syrup, that's what I like to use, and a tablespoon of vanilla. Once we put that into the bag, we seal it up, we put that into our bag with the ice and salt, about a half a cup of salt, wrap it up in a towel, maybe get some gloves or some oven mitts going, and now we're gonna shake it. And shake it like a Polaroid picture. This is gonna go on for about 15 minutes. And if you got kids, they love doing this kind of stuff. Have lots of kids because you're gonna have to pass it around. Their little arms are gonna eventually get tired. But once you shake it for about 15, 20 minutes, ice cream is gonna form in that inner bag. And then you can flavor it however you want, put it in the freezer to set for about 30 minutes, and you can end up with a delicious coconut, coffee, and toffee ice cream like this here. You'll have to excuse, it's a little melted. My kitchen's a little warm. But right there, that's a vegan ice cream that you can make for yourself. Now, you could use cream if you didn't want to go that method. Entirely up to you. The French method, though, that we're doing now, as opposed to the Philadelphia method, which we just did, this is the one where we have to create a custard. So we need eggs in this one. So you're going to need about 2 1/4 cups of whatever kind of heavy cream that you want to use for this. We need a cup of milk to go with it, a pinch of salt, 4 egg yolks, and then a half cup of maple syrup for sweetener. That's what I like to use for this. In a medium saucepan, we're going to simmer. So get it set to about medium heat and get the milk and the cream going. Don't really want it bubbling, but you want to warm it up. In a separate bowl, whisk those 4 egg yolks in there. And then take about a half a cup of that milk you just boiled and slowly start adding it into the egg yolks. This is called tempering because we don't want to make scrambled eggs out of this. We'll then take everything and again, temper and work that into what we have on the stove. That'll be about a 3 to 5 minute process there. Pour it through a sieve, because again, we'll take out the chunks. We don't want scrambled eggs here, we want a custard. And then set it in the fridge. You'll know you've hit it right if when you run a spoon through it, you can take your finger and just make a little line like that. That's when it's ready for the fridge. 45 minutes of cooling. And then we're gonna do the bowl and bowl method. So 2 bowls. Your inside bowl here, that's where we put all of our ice and our salt. This bowl, that's where we're putting our ice cream mixture. And we're gonna turn to technology with a hand mixer for this. And we're gonna beat it. We're gonna blend it for about a good 15 minutes. Eventually, it'll come together and it'll look really thick like this. This now goes into the freezer. It's not frozen yet, but it's going to need to set. And we're gonna do this process, repeat it every 30 minutes for the next 3 to 4 hours. But by the time it's said and done, you're gonna get a really fluffy, creamy ice cream. And then that last one, before you put it in for the final time, that's where you can put your additives, like some local Has caps here. Delicious ice cream. And have a little fun, because my bowls look like ice cream cones. So does my spoon. Ice cream should be fun. Food should be fun. Try a little experiment with the kids. Stay safe, everybody.